you know, you are very blessed. You have the kirpa of the Guru. Because without the kirpa of the Guru, you wouldn't be here. Because there, like I said before, you could have so many other distractions. There could have been 1,000 other reasons, right? Now, some of you are saying, well, I just got into the car, my parents brought me to the Gurdwara, and that's how I got here. No, there's many other people out there who don't have that kirpa. That's why they're not able to be here. It's only because of the kirpa, the blessing of our Guru. That's why you're here. So today's topic is Sant Teja Singh. If you look at the words before Teja Singh, you see the word, what's the word before Teja Singh? Sant, right? Can anyone tell me what Sant means? Sant means like a saint. Very good. So, what does it mean? Like, how do you become a sant? Why do we say sant? Because a saint. What does it mean to be a saint? Very good. Because you say God's name a lot. We're doing Simran. But sants, they also do seva. Seva and Simran. They do lots of it. So much that some people start calling them sant. And that's why we're using that in front of his name, Sant Teja Singh. He did a lot of seva. Last few days ago, July 3rd, was Sant Teja Singh Day. And the reason why we're remembering him is there's a lot of reasons why, but part of the main reason is we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Sant Teja Singh. You wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for Sant Teja Singh. And you'll know why. I'm going to tell you soon. But before we talk about Sant Teja Singh, we have to understand what was the situation in Canada. We have to understand why was Sant Teja Singh coming here. Whenever you want to go to another country, you need permission, right? So for example, you're going to the States. How many of you gone over the border to the States? You have, almost all of you. Now what happens, you go to the border, there's a customs officer, they ask you a few questions, and then they let you go. They don't have to let you go. It's their country. They can stop you any reason they want, because that's not your country, right? You're allowed to live in your country, right? So the Sikhs at that time were living in their own country, which is India, right? But at that time, India was being ruled by the British. Wow, very good. Who said that? Wow, very good. So at that time, long time ago, which is, how long ago am I talking about? Actually, you know what? I'm going to ask you the question first, which will help you. When do you think the first Sikhs were in Canada? What year? Who knows what year? Let's see who can be the closest. 1917? 1917? Okay, getting there, close. Forgot? 1918? No, so earlier? 18? You're close. Hint is 18. Starts with 18. 1878. No, the year was 1897. Britain. The British government, the Queen of England, Victoria, oh, can you back to the second slide? More, yeah, actually there, right there, thank you. Okay, that's good. So, sorry about the technical problem there. India was ruled by the British in 1897. They were there before that. India was called India, but is ruled by Britain. There's other countries too, and there's known as the British Commonwealth. The Commonwealth meaning group of countries belonging to the British, because they're ruling all these countries. There's Canada, which is being ruled by the British, India, Australia, and there's so many other countries. And they're ruling so many of these countries, and if you're living in any one of these British countries, like India, you're allowed to go to another country because you're considered a British subject, a citizen. You're allowed to go to another country. Just like here in Canada, you want to go from BC to Alberta, you can go. You're allowed to go any province within Canada because that's Canada. So British was all over the place. Their countries were all over. So what happened was, in 1897, why 1897? Was because at that time, Queen Victoria was ruling the British Empire. Empire meaning all of these British countries for 60 years. So she was going to celebrate her 60th reign, her 60 years of being a queen. That was the longest running any queen has been in the British Empire in all their history. So what she decided to do was to say, I'm going to invite a lot of people over. Now what happens when you have a birthday party? Who do you invite over? You invite your friends, right? Your relatives, cousins. Do you go in across the street and you say, oh, I like that person across the street, he should come over. Oh, that person living down the other next street, I'm gonna invite him over. You don't do that. What you do is you invite people who are important to you, who are close to you, right? Who are close to you or important to you. So that's what Queen Victoria did. She invited people all over the world in her British countries that she was the queen of and said, come, I'm going to celebrate my Diamond Jubilee. That's what they called it, the Diamond Jubilee for 60 years as being a queen. And who was invited? The Sikhs in the British Army in India. So they were invited to come. So how are they going to come to England? They're going to come through Canada. So when they came, you see that boat? It's hard to see. That picture was taken in 1897. That's over 100 years old photo. And on the right is a British soldier. That's a little painting of what the soldier would have looked like. And on the next slide, you'll see more pictures of what the Sikhs looked like at that time. So those are some British soldiers that came in 1897. They were the first Sikhs in Canada. And they were coming because they're just passing through. And when they passed through, they thought, wow, what a great country this is. Vancouver, BC, so great. It's just like almost like India. In some ways, they thought it was like India, that they could live here. They could probably live a life here. So what they did was they went back to India. But before they went back, what I want to show you on this slide is the Diamond Jubilee was a big thing. It was so big, so many people were invited that were really, really important, that they did a parade for the Queen. And that parade, when they did that parade, it was so long. It was so long, it stretched out for miles and miles and miles. So what we're going to show is a video, just 30 seconds. Remember, this video is over 100 years old. Okay, very few people had video cameras at that time. So this video, I'm going to show you pretty soon. I'm going to I'll let you know when. Look carefully. It's a really old video. These are just other British soldiers on the horses. What you'll see soon in about 5 seconds, you'll see actually, if you look carefully at the dastara, you'll be able to tell that those are Sikh soldiers. Not this one. Now, see, you can see the dastara. Look how grand the dastara. They're on the horses. And they were a good part of the parade. So they're so important. And when they're passing through Canada, the Canadian people, remember at that time, they're white. There were some Chinese, some Japanese, but mostly they were white people, right? And that white people, when they saw these Sikh soldiers passing through Canada, they were amazed. They gave them so much respect because they went in Victoria, they came Vancouver, and they gave them respect because they were protecting the British countries, right? They're helping to fight the war against the bad people. There was some wars that were happening. And then, actually, this is another photo. You can see, actually, on the left is one of the first few Sikh people. His name was Kesar Singh. I think that was his name. So these are all soldiers that were, look how great they look. They were decorated with medals, and they were invited to come to the Diamond Jubilee. So then what happened was, when those Sikhs, in 1897, they went back to India, they told some people about Canada, so great, let's go there. Because you know, at that time, in India, jobs weren't really easy to find. Farming was hard. Even right now, if you look around, I bet a lot of the people that you know that are sitting here and also in Surrey, they come from India maybe in the last few years. And they come because there's more opportunity here, there's jobs here. There's only a few jobs, it's hard to find jobs. So everybody wants to come to another country like Canada to make some money, to earn a living, right? So the Sikhs at that time, they told other people in the villages, whoever they knew, they said, Canada's such a great country, we should think about going there, but no one really came. And then in 1902, another chance came for some Sikh soldiers to go to Canada. But they were going to Canada not because they're going directly to Canada first, they're going to England again because it was King Edward VII. It was going to be his coronation. What does coronation mean? Does anybody know they get a prize if they know what coronation means? Right, so what she said was, when a princess they put the crown on their head and they do a ceremony to say, now this is going to be the king. So the king of England or the king of the British Commonwealth was going to be King Edward VII, and that was a ceremony. So again, Sikh soldiers, important people from the British Commonwealth, the countries, were invited to come. And the Sikhs had, especially from the army, they had an opportunity to come to Canada again and they had to pass through Canada, right? So what happened? What happened was, when this second group of Sikh soldiers came, they went back and they told their families and other people, let's go. But not anybody could go, only the soldiers could go. And so these soldiers, they came to Canada. And when they came, a few thousand of them came. And when they got a few thousand, the Canadian people that were living here, they didn't like that. They were discriminating. And what they decided to do, the Canadian government passed a law that no more immigration. Nobody can come to Canada. No Sikh, no Indian person can come to Canada in 1908. And they just got, can you imagine somebody just hating you just because of your color, the way you look? That's not fair. You're just like them in every other way, just because you look, right? They had a lot of discrimination, and the white people didn't want them, and we're going to talk about that, okay? But before we do, let's go back to Sant Teja Singh, because this lecture is all about Sant Teja Singh. So Sant Teja Singh was brought to help because immigration was banned. Those people, the Sikhs that are living here, they're having a tough time because jobs were hard to come by. They weren't allowed to vote. They weren't allowed to own land. Can you imagine? You can't buy your own house. You're not allowed to vote. So they weren't treated very well. They weren't allowed to go to public places. They weren't allowed to go to parks or big city buildings, and you weren't allowed to go to any public place. It was that bad. And this is also happening to the Chinese and Japanese, but more so to the Sikhs, because you could see the Sikhs from far away, and they just looked so different with their dastara. So Sant Teja Singh, we're going to talk about how he helped. But before we do, Sant Teja Singh, let's talk about his early years. So Sant Teja Singh was highly educated, very educated. Okay, what he had done was a master's degree in English in 1900. I think it was 1902 or maybe a bit before that. Now you're taking English in school, right? Language arts you take English, and when you do, and you have to know what's a preposition, what's a noun, what's a verb, and what's an adjective. You have to learn all those things, and then you go through elementary school, then in high school you have to take English, and then when you go to university you have to take English again. So many years of English. Back over 100 years ago, Sant Teja Singh did a master's degree. So what he did is 12 years of English, just like you guys did. Then in university, he did a master's degree. You first have to do like 4 years to get a bachelor's degree, then another few more years to get a master's, and that's what he did. His English was so good. And then he decided to do a degree in law to become a lawyer. So he did that, and once he did that, he said he could get really good job. He actually had a good government job. It's hard to find a government job with the British government. And that's what he did. He got a good government job. But then he started thinking it wasn't in teaching. He wanted to teach people. So he decided to become a principal. at Khalsa colleges. So one place, so that's what he started. Actually, before we get into that, he wanted to teach. So that's why he got into becoming a principal. But I want you to also know, look at all those other universities. There was a university college in London. He also went to Columbia University, Harvard University, and wherever he went, when he first went to the university, can you imagine being the only Sikh at that university? Have any of you been to a school where you're the only dastar, sage-tari, you're the only one with gaze in the whole school? Has anybody? No. No? You've been to school and you're the only one with gaze. Wow, very good, very brave. So what happened was, when he went to these universities, he was the first Sikh they ever saw, these university people. And they said, if you want to come to our class, you have to take off your dastar. You can't wear your dastar in our classes. And then what he did is, each of those universities that he went, he explained to them, why am I wearing dastar? What is Sikhi? What does it mean? And when he explained that to them, they agreed. They let him. And wherever he went, people want to know, who are you? What are you doing? And you know what he used to do? He used to set up lectures. He used to do lectures, and one time he did a lecture, and there was like 10,000 people there. There's so many of these white people, European people. There are a lot of European people, like they're white people, they came, and they're so interested, and they liked it so much that other professors in the university, they said, can you do this every week? And he said, sure, and he used to do this every week, and he had a few hundred people almost every week coming to listen to him, the message of our gurus, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And he actually had people, white people. I'm saying white people because I want you to know it's a different type of people. And they used to go listen just like this, and they started doing Simran too. And we're going to talk about one of those people too. So remember I was telling you that he was a principal of a Khalsa college, a school, okay? Now, remember I said he is so educated? He had so many degrees. You know what sometimes happens when you get really educated? When you get really educated, you think you know everything. You get what's called home, you get hankar, you think you know more than anybody, and that's it, and you know more than anyone else. And so what he did was, he thought, what is this Guru Granth Sahib Ji? What is this Guru? Why am I matha taking? I'm not going to matha take. He thought it's idol worship, statue. What are we doing? It's a book. He didn't want to matha take. But he was the principal, and as part of the school there was a Gurdwara that was part of the school, and every day they had a Gurdwara program, and they went to the Gurdwara, and they did matha take, the whole school. But Sant Teja Singh was very smart. What he did was, he used to go there before anybody else, so nobody would see him, and he didn't have to matha take. Because if you're the first one, nobody's going to know that you matha taked or not, right? So that's what he used to do. Every day, that's what he used to do. And so what happened one day, Sant Teja Singh had the blessing of the Guru. He had the kirpa of the Guru. Sometimes Guru will bless you depending on what your karma or what you've done in your past lives or in your current life. You'll get a blessing of the Guru. And so what happened one day, he went there before everybody else because he didn't want anybody to know that he's not matha taking. But he went early, and what happened was, he felt something. He felt that the Guru was in the Darbar, just like here, the Darbar. He felt the Guru, the presence of the Guru, even though we know that's our Guru, the King of all kings, forever and ever. He actually felt a real Guru, because we should think that's Guru Nanak Dev Ji, all the way to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, the same jot, the same light, the same soul. He really felt it that one day. When he felt it, he felt strange. Then he felt a force. You know when you have magnet, and you played with magnets, they kind of stick together, right? There's a force, right, between them, right? They pull. He felt a force like a magnet pulling him towards Guruji. And the force was so strong that he fell to the ground. And he was lying down, matha taking, he was bowing down to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And he lied there for a while. And when he lied down, he was wondering what's going on, but he felt Guruji was really there. That's what he felt, because we should always feel Guruji. We should always come here, matha take, because that's our Guruji. We should think that's our Guruji, because it really is our Guruji. So what happened was, after that, he got up, and he started thinking, what's happening to me? This doesn't make sense. What is this? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling there's a guru here? What's going on? He started thinking. You know when something happens to you, it could be something bad. It could even be something good. Usually something bad, you think, why did it happen to me? What's going on? It doesn't make sense. I don't know what it means. And that's when something clicked in his mind, that this is something not I can learn from my books, my studies. Because what he has done was worldly knowledge. Knowledge from the world, from university, school, books, learning from other teachers. And now he felt he needed something he needed to learn, some spiritual knowledge, something to understand what happened. And so he asked around. He asked some people around who were doing a lot of art, kirtan, and one of them said, you need to see, actually that's the next slide. He said, you need to see Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji, that he can guide you, he can help you. And you may have heard, and some of your parents probably know, Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji at that time was very well respected. He is very close to God. And if you listen to Katha sometimes, all over the world, people will talk about the stories about Sant Atar Singh and how he helped people to come on the Sikhi path. Just like here, you're trying to learn about Sikhi and get on that path. That's what Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji did. So, I don't want to say Sant Teja Singh, but because at that time he was known as Professor Teja Singh. So Professor Teja Singh, he went and talked to Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji. And he said, this is what happened. And so he talked to him. Sant Baba Atar Singh said that you've been blessed, and he started talking to about the spiritual knowledge, that the knowledge that you've got is worldly knowledge, and that now you need to gain spiritual knowledge. But there's more work that needs to be done. And Professor Teja Singh learned a lot, and then Sant Baba Atar Singh said, there's some seva I need to ask you to do. I need you to do some seva, open up some schools. And then Teja Singh said, I need some more knowledge. I need to get some more education. And that I want to go to America. I want to go to England, get some more education so I can help with the seva of opening up schools and teaching other people in India. So Sant Baba Atar Singh said, okay, go and learn, get these education, these degrees, get that worldly knowledge. But you have some rules. And those rules are that when you go out to these countries, do not cut your hair, do not take off your dastar, and don't argue with anybody. Because people will want to argue, why are you keeping the dastar, whoever he's going to meet. Remember I was telling you that the school was asking him, you can't go to classes unless you don't remove your dastar. So Babaji, Sant Baba Atar Singh said, no arguing. And he also said, wherever you go, try to set up new Gurdwara. Because at that time, in 1908, 1897, early part of this century, there were no Gurdwara. Well, there were some Gurdwara, but not in this part of Canada and the US on the west coast. And there was actually other things that Sant Baba Atar Singh said, so we're just going to leave them up for now for time, to save time. So, Professor Teja Singh made his plans to study at these universities in England. He went to America, to some of these universities, and when he was at Columbia University, now these universities, Columbia University, Harvard University, they are so hard to get into. You have to study so hard, your marks have to be like really high, and if you go to one of these universities, you got a guaranteed job because you're considered your education is the highest. He went to the best universities. So, when he was at Columbia University, he got a letter from Sikhs. He got a message from the Sikhs in Vancouver that we need your help. We heard about you, that you're educated, and you can help us out. Can you please come and help us out? So that's what Sant Teja Singh did. He got and he left. He stopped his studies to help out the Sikhs. So what he did is he got on a train. When he got on that train, a Canadian passenger, so another passenger, just like you go on a bus, on a train, There's other people that sit. There's one nice Canadian passenger. And he said to Sant Teja Singh, he said that the Sikhs in Canada are in big trouble. They're in big trouble, and they're going to be shipped off. They're going to be put on a ship and sent off to the Honduras. Remember at the time I was telling you that the white people that are living here, they did not like the Sikhs. They didn't want them around. They banned immigration in 1908. So they didn't want Sikhs, they wanted us out. So they're making plans to send them to a country called Honduras. So why Honduras? Well, Honduras is one of those countries that belong to the British Commonwealth. They belong to the Queen, the British government, right? Just like Canada, Australia, India. There's many other countries too, so Honduras. Now if you see on the map, there it is right there. You see that? Honduras, right in the middle? We're right about there. That's Vancouver. And if you see where it is, along this line, what's there? There's a line that you learn in geography in school, in science. What is that called? Equator. It's the equator because that's like the equal distance from the north and south poles, and that's where it's the hottest, right? That all the countries that are along that line in the middle are hot, and Honduras were very, very hot, and they had a lot of disease. So the Canadian government said, let's send them off to the Honduras. That's another British country. We can send them off there. Let's send them out of here, out of our country. So we're making plans to do that. So in this picture, I'm going to ask you a question. You can see in the bottom right corner, you see 2 Sikhs. See how well dressed they are? The stara, they're wearing nice. They're really nicely dressed. Can anybody guess what year that photo was taken? That's in downtown Vancouver. Anybody want to guess? 1918? Close? 1920? No. Okay, it was 1908. Can you believe that's over 100 years old? And there are Sikhs walking in downtown. And you know what the government was saying? And the white people? They were saying that the Sikhs here don't have good jobs. Some of them don't have any jobs. They're also saying that our living is not clean, that we're dirty people, we're not clean, right? But really, they were jealous of the Sikhs. And I'm going to show you why. See that photo? What is behind those Sikhs? What do you see? It's a railroad tracks. The Sikhs were helping to build the Canadian Railway. Just like the Chinese were. You'll find out in history in school, the Chinese helped, Japanese helped, and the Sikhs also helped too. They're really hard workers. And the government's saying lies. That's what they're saying, lies. That these people don't have jobs. They're not clean. Well, they were clean because as a Sikh, you have to wake up every day and do Ishnan. You have to take a bath because that's what Guruji's want us to do, take a bath, do Ishnan, and do our part, and then go to work, right? So the Sikhs were clean, and they were wondering why is the government, why are the white people making all these lies? They're saying because they just want to get rid of us. They want to say bad things. So other people in Canada will say, let's get them out of here. Let's send them on a boat to Honduras. But the Sikhs were wondering why are they saying all these lies? Because they had langars. They fed anybody that needed food. So if someone didn't have jobs, sometimes some Sikhs at that time, there's only a few thousand. There's only a few thousand at that time, and not all of them had jobs. So sometimes if they didn't have a job, they came to the Gurdwara, or they had someone's house, they ate langar, they had food. They took a bath every day, they're clean. But they were saying, the Sikhs were saying, we take a bath every day, but these white people, they don't even take a bath for days. And that was true. Some of them didn't take baths for days. You know, you can get pretty stinky, right, if you don't take a bath for a few days. So anyways, but even though the Canadian people, the white people didn't want the Sikhs in Canada, there's one type of person or type of people, or group of people I should say, wanted the Sikhs to stay in Canada. And they were white too. They were the industrialists, the owners of the mills, factories. They saw the Sikhs were working hard. They were working so hard, and they paid them, they even paid them less than the white people. They'd do the same job, and the Sikh would earn less money, but he would work even harder. And that's why all these factory owners, they're white people, lumber mills, and they're all happy. They wanted to keep them. They had a little bit of, they pressured the government. They said, no, don't send them away. We want to keep them. They're doing all this work for us, and they're doing it cheaply too. And the Sikhs at that time, they're working so hard, but they still saved money, because a lot of them, there's 25, 30 of them would live in a house to save costs. They'd help each other out. So remember, the Canadian government is still thinking about sending the Sikhs to the Honduras, to that country. So there was a commissioner. A commissioner is somebody who's like a government, belongs to the government, and they have a certain job to do, and they have a special role. And their role, they're given some powers to do certain things. So this commissioner's role was trying to see how we can get these Sikhs out of Canada. So what he's trying to do, he's thinking, the Sikhs here don't really want to go. They don't want to leave Canada. So what he started doing is, he started making some friends with some of the Sikhs. He got 2 Sikhs and said, you know what? We want to write a report and say that the Honduras is a great country. He even sent them off to the Honduras. And those 2 Sikhs saw Honduras, and they didn't like it. It was hot, diseases, really bad. It's just not a good place to live. And so the commissioner said, I'm going to write this nice report that Honduras is such a great country. Come to the Honduras. Tell the Sikhs, and the Sikhs will be happy to go. It'll be, those 2 Sikhs knew that report would be fake. But he wanted those 2 Sikhs to sign it, to say that, look, your brothers, your 2 brothers, your 2 Sikh brothers here agree that Honduras is a great place, that you should go. So they're trying to convince the Sikhs. The government was trying to use the commissioner and fake report and get 2 Sikhs to say, hey, it's a great country. So that was one tactic. So what happened was, remember telling about Sant Teja Singh? He was educated. He was asked to come to Canada by the Sikhs to help us out, that the government wants to send us away forcefully, because they were allowed to stay in Canada because that's a British country. They have their right. They were allowed to, but they're trying to change laws, trying to convince them, send them out. So one thing was happening is Sant Teja Singh, he decided to take some action, to do some things about it. He's very educated, remember that? He's very educated. He was very smart. So what he thought we should do, let's make the Sikhs strong. It wasn't strong like muscle, financially strong, money. Let's make them look like they're rich. So what he did was, when he came to Canada to help the Sikhs, when he came, before he left Columbia University, remember I was telling you he had weekly lectures he'd give to the white people? And one of those people, his name was Mr. Crawford. And he used to do Simran. One day he was doing Simran. This is back in Columbia University. He was doing Simran. And before he was doing Simran, he had a problem. He had a real problem. And his problem was that he had partners. He had a business. He was a businessman. He owned a gold mine. Okay, he owned part of a gold mine, and his partners were trying to cheat him. So what Mr. Crawford did, he did Simran, and after Simran, he got an answer. You know when you do Simran, sometimes some things will come to you. Vaheguru works in magical ways, in ways that sometimes an answer will come with you, you'll get an idea about something. So that's what happened. Mr. Crawford, after he did Simran, he got an idea that I need to talk to Sant Teja Singh. So he talked to Sant Teja Singh. He said, this is my problem. My partners, and I have a gold mine, and my partners are trying to cheat me. They're trying to get rid of me and not letting me have my share. I need some money so I can make sure I do have my share. And Sant Teja Singh said, you are a follower of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. You are a good Gursikh. I'm going to help you. So what he did, at the same time, Sant Teja Singh got a letter to Vancouver. Okay, so Sant Teja Singh went to Vancouver. When he did, and at this time, all this stuff is going on, but the government making laws, trying to send the Sikhs to Honduras, Sant Teja Singh remembered that he has to help his friend. And one way to help was to ask for help from the Sikhs that are living. Remember, they were working really hard. The Sikhs, they lived together, they saved money, they even sent money home, but they still had some money left over. And so Sant Teja Singh said, all of you, give some money. Let's buy a share of this gold mine. Let's give money to this person, Mr. Crawford, to buy gold mine shares in the USA. Sikhs agreed, and Sant Teja Singh set up what's called the Guru Nanak Gold Mine Trust. So that's what happened, what they did. And then another thing they did, Eagle Harbor. So if you look around there, see that Stanley Park? In front of Stanley Park, this whole area, and if you go even higher, this is sort of Eagle Harbor is around here. This is a picture of it from Stanley Park. But this area here is British properties. How many of you know what the British properties are or have seen them? There's a lot of the rich people live there. Their houses are big, gigantic. Their properties are big. They have one of the best views in Vancouver. So, but at that time, it was just land. Mostly land. So what happened was, Sant Teja Singh said, let's buy some property, let's try and make us look strong, and financially, let's buy these gold mine shares, and we'll also have some money coming back out to us, because we're investing money in a gold mine, right? Gold is expensive, right? So, the Sikhs started to look good. Because financially they're strong. Sant Teja Singh started doing another thing. He said, let's educate the people. Let's educate the people. And what he started doing is lectures. Lots of people started coming. The white people, they started to understand. And then they realized that they're discriminating for nothing, that they started actually coming to the Gurdwara too. Can you imagine white people? We don't really see them much, right? But they actually were starting to come to the Gurdwara. They wanted Sant Teja Singh to do more lectures about Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the message of our Gurus. And not only that, in the newspapers, can you imagine opening up the province paper or the Vancouver Sun and there's an article on Guru Nanak Dev Ji or what Sikhi is? That'd be great, right? Well, that's what was happening. There's in the newspapers about what Sikhi is. And the last line there says, exposing the fake propaganda. So what that means, propaganda is a big word, meaning that it's when quite simply it means when a government or some people, they make a whole bunch of lies about someone else. So, as I was telling you, they're making lies about Sikhs. They're dirty, they don't have jobs, they're not good people. So it's saying all these lies. Well, Sant Teja Singh wanted to change all of that. He wanted to educate them. So then some good news started to happen. So what happened, like I was saying, financially they're strong. The Sikhs started getting strong because they're united. They pooled all their money. They gave the shares to buy a gold mine and all that land in Eagle Harbor, which is now, some of that is British properties. They started looking good. The white people are thinking, wow, these people are actually, financially strong too. And their religion is actually pretty good. Good image. So they started thinking of the Sikhs in a good way, that these people are actually good. And then there's some more good news. Remember those two Sikhs I was telling you about who were going to sign a fake report? At that time, when they're going to tell the Sikhs about Honduras that it's a great country, when really it's not, you know what they did? The commissioner who was working with those two Sikhs, he said, go. He had to go to Ottawa for some reason. And the two Sikhs started thinking that we can't do this. So he told the truth. Those two Sikhs told the truth to all the Sangat in Vancouver. They said to the Sikhs, all the Sikhs, that Honduras is not a good place, that we don't recommend that we go there. We should stay here. And all the Sikhs, they agreed, yes, we want to stay here because we want to stay here. We like it here. Why should we leave when we like it here? So next what happened was the Canadian commissioner, he comes back and he wanted to read out his report to the Sikhs. So he came to one Gurdwara, and when he came, there was a Darbar happening just like this, and he was told, you have to take off your shoes before you come into the Darbar. He didn't want to take off his shoes. So he said, that's okay, I'll just wait. And then later on, there was actually, remember I told you white people used to go too? There's about 50 white people in the Gurdwara. They were there Can you imagine 50 white people sitting with you? So that's what they were doing. And one of those white people was a doctor, Dr. Knapp. And he was actually very helpful with Sant Teja Singh and helped the Sikhs buy some of the land. And he helped actually do some of that and gave good advice and helped out. Dr. Knapp came downstairs into the Langar Hall to talk to the commissioner and say, the Sikhs are upstairs, you can read your report upstairs. And he's saying, no, I don't want to go, I'll just wait for them. And then all of a sudden, they heard, the commissioner heard, Bole so nihal, sat sri akal. He heard that. Because you know when you have a function, we have a function at the Gurdwara, and we're close to doing Samapti or someone does Ardas, they say the Jakara, right? So he got scared, the commissioner got scared, what's going on? You know, what does this mean? Because he's never been in Gurdwara before, he doesn't know what a Jakara is. And then he got scared and he thought, I'm going to start walking away. And he started walking away and Dr. Knapp said, no, you don't need to, what are you doing? You can give your message to the Sikhs. He said, okay, I'll give the message in the Langar Hall. I'll tell them when they come down. And when the Sikhs came down, and he said, I want to read a report to you about the Handuras. And the Sikhs said, okay, that's fine, but we want you to do it upstairs in Darbar in front of our Guru. Come upstairs in our Darbar. That's where we would like you. See, that's how much Shraddha Pyar the Sikhs had at the time, that they wanted everything discussed in front of a Guru. Something important, they wanted done in the Sangat, in the Hazuri, in the presence of Guru Sahib. So then what happened? The commissioner said, no way, I'm not going to read that report. I don't want to go upstairs. And he just left, because he's just scared. He just left. So then what happened was the Canadian government saying these two Sikhs, and the commissioner weren't able to read the report. They're not able to convince the Sikhs to go to the Handuras. What are we going to do? So they played another trick. They had another little thing that they want to do. What they did is, remember I told you about the Honduras, there's a British Honduras. There was a governor of Honduras, so basically like the government, okay? So they asked him to come to Canada, talk to the Sikhs and tell them what a great country it is, trying to convince them to go. So the governor of Honduras, he came, he met with Sant Teja Singh, and he talked to the Sikhs, and then he went to the commissioner. He said, I can't, the Sikhs don't want to leave. They like it here. And if we were to forcefully take them, and put them on a boat, send them to the Honduras, what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of trouble in the British Army. Because remember the British Army, the army in India, Canada, Honduras, Australia, and Britain. And a lot of that British Army, there were Sikhs. And the governor of Honduras said to the Canadian government, if you forcibly put them on a boat and send them to Honduras, what's going to happen is there's 50,000 Sikh soldiers in the British Army. They're going to protest that why are you sending these few thousand Sikhs forcefully on a boat to Honduras? They're going to protest, and it's going to take 200,000 British white soldiers to control them. That we can't have this kind of trouble. That means, you know, that is a big thing, because Sikh soldiers were considered the bravest. They're considered the best soldiers. So another point, we're talking about how Sant Teja Singh helped all these people, the Sikhs. He also, remember he's Sant Baba Atar Singh said, also set up Gurdwaras. And what Sant Teja Singh did, he set up Gurdwaras in Victoria, in the States, Washington, Oregon, California. So he set up Gurdwara Sahib there and also in England too. So what was happening? What started happening? Disunity. What does that mean? Unity when we're all together, and disunity when we're not together. What started happening was that, remember that Sant Teja Singh did all these lectures to educate the people, the white people, about the Sikhs, and the white people started to understand. And he also got the financially, made them strong, that they have a lot of money, they're hardworking, they have jobs, they're good people. So the Canadian government was starting to fail. They weren't able to send, right, the Sikhs. And when this started happening, the Canadian government then stopped their plans to forcefully send the Sikhs to the Honduras. So what happened to the Sikhs? Remember, they're all together. What happened was they started to fight. They started to fight amongst themselves because now they're comfortable. They didn't have to worry about being forcibly sent out of the country. They weren't worried about that anymore, right? Before they were worried about they're all going to be shipped out. Now they didn't have to worry. They can stay in Canada. They're free to live here. So then they started fighting amongst themselves. And you know what happened when they started fighting amongst themselves? They started a lot of arguing. Sant Teja Singh was really disappointed. He's really sad because what happened was, remember I was telling you about the gold mine shares that they had in Guru Nanak Gold Mining Trust in the States? The Sikhs had a big share. They had 1/4. That's considered a big share in a gold mine. Because Mr. Crawford, remember, the Sikhs gave money to Mr. Crawford. So Mr. Crawford had a big share. He gave 1/4 of a whole gold mine to the Sikhs in Vancouver. What happened? The Sikhs started fighting, arguing. They decided to sell the shares. So Sikhs were going to lose their income because gold is worth a lot of money. And next thing, what happened? Remember that the 250 acres they bought in Eagle Harbor, which is British properties, that land is worth billions of dollars. Now, you know $1 million? Now, if you were to take $999 million, add another million, that's billion. Now, a few billion of those, that's how much that property would have been for the Sikhs today. If they did not fight, well, what happened? They started fighting. They said, okay, now we have to sell off our land. They had to sell off the land because someone said they want to do something. They want to do something else. They couldn't agree. That's what happens when you don't have unity. You fight amongst yourselves. Even at home, you're home with your family. And sometimes you have a toy, and it's a really good toy your parents bought you. And you start fighting over that toy. And when you're pulling on that toy, I want to control it. No, I want to control it. What happens is the toy breaks. So the Sikhs wanted to control these properties. And they couldn't agree, so they just had to sell. So this really made Sant Teja Singh sad and disappointed that all that hard work and now the Sikhs are not together. And you'll see that now in the Gurdwara sometimes. People fight on the committees. That happens. But if you follow the message of the Guru tells us instructions on how to be a good Gursikh, then there wouldn't be fights. But it's hard to follow the Guru's message sometimes because all these 5 evils come, right? You get anger, right? And oh God. So in that photo, Sant Teja Singh traveled to many countries. Just by looking at that photo, can you tell which country that is? It's an African country, that's right. So Sant Teja Singh also went to other countries, not just Canada, not just US or England. He went to other countries like Africa. He went to African countries. He went to Shanghai, which is in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and he also went to Japan. And he went to Gursikhs to help them out. What he also did, whenever he went, he always tried to convince the Sikhs there to become Amritdhari, to take Amrit, get on this path. And you know, because he's so well educated at universities, a lot of religious people around the world noticed him. They found out about Sant Teja Singh, that he's also educated and he's a Sikh, that we want him to be part of the World Religion Conference. He was invited to go in Germany, and in this picture, he's invited to go in Japan. And when he was there, that was known as the 8th Congress of World Religion for Peace. And there's an essay that he wrote, and he read out at that conference, and it's titled The Way to Establish Permanent Peace. And that, you can still, so that lecture is actually still available. You can find it online if you ever want to read it. So we have a few things to learn from this. There's a Gurmat message in all of this. So every time we have a youth darbar, anytime you come to the Gurdwara, you're going to learn something because we're Sikh. Sikh means to learn. I've found 3 things that we can learn from Sant Teja Singh. Because we come here, we learn about Sant Teja Singh. Is it just we learn some facts so that he did something great? We want to know that, but we also want to know how does it make us a better Gursikh? So I'm going to tell you the first one, and then I want you to think, what are you learning today? What is the Gurmat message? What is our Guru trying to tell us? It requires you to think. Okay, I got them all there. But there's more, okay? So the first thing is seva. See, if you notice, The stories that told about Sant Teja Singh. He was helping people. He's doing seva. He's doing seva. Now, how can you do seva at home? You're thinking, I can't do all that. I'm not educated. Well, you can try to be that way at home. It starts at home. You're doing seva for your brother and sister. Sometimes your parents say, can you help your brother and sister with their homework? Can you help to clean up your room, sweep the floor or anything? If your parents actually do something and you do it right away, that's seva. Your parents will be so happy. And the seva that you do at home, then you do at the Gurdwara. You do it anywhere you go. You find a chance, you do that seva. The second point I've got, there's worldly knowledge and spiritual knowledge. So the worldly knowledge, what is worldly knowledge? Worldly knowledge. Knowledge of the world, okay. What's another way we can say that? Knowing of languages, okay, we're getting there. Knowledge everybody's supposed to know, okay. I'm going to tell you because of time. Worldly knowledge, anything you're going to learn in this world from books, teachers, universities. See, right now you're going to school, right? And then you're going to get a job. In order to get a good job, sometimes you want to go to university. And Guru Nanak Dev told us, Kirta Karniya, right? He had 3 rules, 3 principles. One of those was Kirta Karniya, right? To work hard. We're going to work, right? And right now you're doing the second, what Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, Kirta Karni. You go to school, that's your Kirta Karni, where you're working. And once you finish school, you go to university, you get training, then you're going to get a job. That's also your Kirta Karni, right? So you're doing already right now. So that worldly knowledge is getting those degrees. Get educated, get a good degree, become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, plumber, doesn't matter. Get some education, get a good job, have a good business, okay? But don't ever forget, also at the same time, the spiritual knowledge. We have to understand, why did we come to this earth? Were we just born to become, just go to school, watch TV, maybe, get a good job, just, play Nintendo games and get a nice car, house, brand name clothes? No, the real reason why we're here is because you were given a chance. You finally given this precious birth to meet God. This is our chance to meet God. And in Gurbani Raras, if you read, what that means is this is your chance. You're given this precious human birth after so many different life forms, a bug, an animal, like an elephant, a fish. You're finally given a chance. But only as a human, that you have that chance to be close to God, to do that seva and simran. So that spiritual knowledge, how do you get that? How do you get that spiritual knowledge? Tough question. By doing simran, good, that's one way. Okay, seva too, good. What's another way? Seva, someone said that. So another way is by start doing our part. When we start doing our part, first we have to learn to read the part every day, and we don't understand it. The part is from our Guru, that's our Guru Shabad, and then we try to understand it. Because anything in our life, anything that we want to know about life, all the answers are in Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. All the answers to our life. But what happens is, people like me, I don't take the time. It's because it takes a lot of time. See, if you want to be a doctor, if you have a broken bone or something, you get sick, do you go to anybody or do you go to a doctor? You go to a doctor, right? Because the doctor studied so hard, so many years, and they know what to do when you're hurt. Same thing with Sikhi. If you want to learn, you have to take time to learn, right? We can read some books, you can go to the internet, but always make sure you come in Sadh Sangat like this, because it's being done in English so you can understand it, because Punjabi is what we need, Gurmukhi is what we need to understand, how to learn, what's the message that Guruji is trying to tell us. But it's really hard to understand that because we don't take the time out. So that's why we have programs like this so you can understand. We give little bits of information for you to understand. And then you're going to find when you start coming to satsang, your life's going to change. And the last thing there, unity. So we talked about that. It happens in my house too. Kids are fighting, everyone's fighting. What happens is we have to be able to control that. But I can't tell you how to control that. There's only one answer, is that by doing more Simran, we're able to control ourselves, right? By learning Guru's message in Gurbani, we'll know when we shouldn't fight. So Sant Teja Singh has taught us many things. Does anybody have anything else to add, what they learned? Because there's more than one Gurmat message. In any Sakhi learning, there's more than one Gurmat message. Does anybody have anything else they learned that they want to share? Because these are the only ones that I could think of. Okay, so do we have time for 5 quick questions? Okay, so question 1. So you're going to get a prize for this. So let's see if you're paying attention. They're easy. Some of them are really easy questions. So the first question, what education did Sant Teja Singh have? Wow, so many hands. You guys, looks like you're paying attention. I'm going to pick someone who hasn't answered before. What education? He got a master's degree in English. Okay, prize right there. Hanji, different hand. Let's see who I haven't. Hanji. I need to know what education. What did he do? He went to universities, but what did he do? What else did he do? He did a master's in English, what I heard there. Education, Hanji. Okay, education, I mean degrees. He had a master's degree in English. He got a law degree. He also studied at Columbia University, Harvard University. So the message here, some of you actually know the answer, but I'm going to kind of skip for now, because what I want you to know is that we should be inspired. We should say, yeah, we're going to get an education. We're going to do all these degrees, because with that you can do other seva too. You can help the Sikhs as well too. Not only just yourself to have a good job, but also to help others. So where did he get this worldly knowledge? Where did he get it? Name some places. I just gave them to you. I just gave an answer, so I see who can remember that. Universities, right? Which ones? England. He went to England, right? Louder. Yes, he learned from books, but I want to know the name of universities. The reason why I want you to know the universities, because not anybody can go to these universities. They're very difficult to get in. You need like straight A's, and you need a lot of money, and the people that come from these universities are Columbia. I think he went to Cambridge, but Harvard University. Hanji. Harvard, yeah, well, I said that too. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Who taught him spiritual knowledge? Because that's one of the most important things I want you to know about, is not only who, but why. So depending who asks, I'm going to ask 2 questions. Hanji. Sant Baba Atar Singh Ji. He taught him spiritual knowledge. Why did he have to know spiritual knowledge? I'm going to add another question. To go on God's path, to go on the path to Guru. That's right. So what was the Canadian government trying to do? Send them to Honduras. That's right. So how did Sant Teja Singh convince the government not to send the Sikhs? Oh, he said they bought a gold mine, right? One. That's right. That's part of the answer. They bought properties in Eagle Harbor, which is British properties. Okay, one more. They did lectures, yes. So financially they're strong, made the Sikhs very strong, buying properties, gold mine, and then Sant Teja Singh did lectures to educate people. So, people don't know, one of the reasons people discriminate against others, whether black, Chinese, or Sikhs, is because they're afraid. They don't know. So Sant Teja Singh had lectures, and the white people started to understand, and they started to think they're actually okay. They can stay. So there's actually a lot more that we can talk about. This is not the complete story of Sant Teja Singh. There's so many things that Sant Teja Singh has done, so much seva that Sant Teja Singh's done, but because of time, we can't mention all of them. We can't talk about all of them. But what we should know is Sant Teja Singh came here, and he came here to help the Sikhs at that time, 100 years ago. And if it wasn't for him, we might not be here, because the Canadian government didn't want us here. So he's educated, and he's also in the spiritual path. And because of his Sikhi, he wanted to do the seva to the Sikhs here. So with that, I'm going to Bala Fateh, and the next program, Benji will talk to you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki